Welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level grammar lesson, and we'll be finishing our unit on relative clauses. Today we're going to be talking about subject, object pronouns, and where, when, and why as relative adverbs. So let's talk about the difference between the subject and the object of a sentence. Basic definition is the subject of the sentence does the action and the object of the sentence receives the action. So, for example, Tony called his dad. Tony is the subject because he is performing the action of calling, and his dad is the object because his dad is receiving the call. Or the girl kicked the ball. The girl is doing is the subject because she's doing the action of kicking. And the ball is the object because it is receiving the action of being kicked. Now, there are two types of pronouns, subject pronouns and object pronouns. So see if you can complete the chart with the object pronouns. So the first one is done for you, I and me. So see if you can go ahead and complete the rest of these. You can pause the video, try that on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So I and me, you would also be you, he with him, she, the object pronoun is her, it is it, we is us, and they and them. Now, object pronouns can appear in different parts of the sentence. As the direct object of a verb, we visited them, or as the object of a preposition, she was waiting for them. So in English, we often have an object after a preposition following multi-word verbs like stare at, decide on, comment on, listen to, etc. All right, now choose the correct pronoun for each of these sentences. Again, you can pause the video and try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So my brother and I went to the cinema. This is one that sometimes causes some confusion, and a simple way to know which one is correct is take the other person's name out. And you would say, I went to the cinema. You wouldn't say me went to the cinema. So if you're ever unsure, just remove the other person's name, and you can probably pretty easily decide whether I or me is correct in the sentence. My mom yelled at my brother and me. So here, again, you can use that same trick. Take out the other person's name. My mom yelled at me. You wouldn't say my mom yelled at I. That sounds odd or awkward. Katie and he plan to get married next year. So again, if you take out Katie, it would be he plans to get married next year, not him plans to get married. When are we going to? We are going to meet Katie and him later this week. Again, we are going to meet him, not he, later this week. The match is between us and them. And I am hoping that they don't win the match. Can you please collect John and me from school at 4 p.m.? Now, relative clauses don't have to describe the subject of a main clause. They can also describe an object. So I saw the movie. Movie is the object. My parents recommended the movie. The movie is the object, and it appears in both sentences. So you could say, I saw the movie that my parents recommended. If the relative pronoun is followed by a verb, the relative pronoun is a subject pronoun. Subject pronouns act as the subject of the relative clause. The man was in a car accident. The man was talking on the phone. The man who was in the car accident was talking on the phone. Who replaces the man or the subject of the clause, and it is followed by a verb was. Here's another example. Subject pronouns act as the subject of the relative clause. I don't like the dog bit me. I don't like the dog that bit me. That replaces the dog, the subject of the clause, and is followed by a verb bit. If the relative pronoun is followed by a noun or a pronoun, the relative pronoun is an object pronoun. Object pronouns act as the object of the relative clause. And here are some examples. The lady went to my high school. I met the lady on the subway. The lady who I met on the subway went to my high school. So in formal spoken and written English, whom, not who, is used as the object pronoun of the relative clause. But we'll look at that. We'll look at whom in some later lessons. So here, who replaces the lady. The lady is the object of the relative clause, and the subject is I. Here's another example. Object pronouns act as the object of the relative clause. I like the bike. My father gave me the bike. I like the bike that my father gave me. The word that replaces the bike. The bike is the object of the relative clause, and the subject is my father. Right, so does the relative pronoun act as a subject or object in the relative clause? So you're going to identify the relative clause, then look at the relative pronoun, and is there a verb after the relative pronoun or is it a noun? So do you know the boy who I danced with? So who I danced with is the relative clause, and the pronoun is, so it's followed by the pronoun I, so who refers to the boy. And so there is a noun after the who. Do you know the boy who danced with me? So here, who danced with me is the relative pronoun, and the relative pronoun who is followed by the verb danced. The bread that is on the table is old, so we have that is on the table. And the pronoun that is followed by a verb, is. And the bread that I bought on Friday is old, so that I bought on Friday. And here, that is followed by a pronoun I. The woman who I saw yesterday is my aunt, so who I saw yesterday. And the relative pronoun who is followed by the pronoun I. And the woman who is sitting in that seat is my aunt. So here, who is followed by a verb, is sitting. When, where, and why act as object pronouns in relative clauses, they are called relative adverbs. This means that they are only used in relative clauses that contain a noun or pronoun acting as a subject. So this is the house where I was born. That was the year when we traveled to France. That is the reason why Henry couldn't come to the party. So in these sentences, I, we, and Henry are the subjects of these relative clauses. So we're going to look at where, when, and why. This is the restaurant where we ate on our anniversary. So where equals the object pronoun or relative adverb, and we is the subject in the relative clause. Do you remember a time when cell phones didn't exist? When is the object pronoun or relative adverb, and cell phone is the subject in the relative clause. And did he tell you the reason why he is late? Why is an object pronoun or relative adverb, and he is the subject in the relative clause. Now complete each of these sentences with where, when, or why. You can pause the video, try this on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So the reason why I didn't call is because I lost your phone number. My favorite time of the week is Friday at 5 p.m. when I finish working for the day. This is the house where we used to live. I was feeling sick on the day when you saw me. And do you know the reason why she is so angry? Now, a relative adverb can be used instead of a preposition plus which. For example, you can say, this is the store in which I bought my desk, or this is the store where I bought my desk. The preposition plus which combination can seem very formal, and the relative adverb is more commonly used. Where can replace at which, on which, or in which. For example, we can say, the office at which I work is downtown, or the office where I work is downtown. The floor on which I work has a great view, the floor where I work has a great view, and the office in which I work is huge, the office where I work is huge. So all of these are correct, but you can notice that the at which, on which, in which does sound a lot more formal than just saying where. Now you're going to choose at, in, or on, and then replace the preposition and relative pronoun with a relative adverb and say the sentence in a different way. Again, you can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So the apartment building in which I live has a doorman, or you could simply say where I live. So the in which could be replaced by where. The restaurant at which I ate last night was lovely. Again, you can replace at which with where. The wall on which I hung the painting has a hole in it. Again, you could replace on which with where. And the cafe in which we met is now up for sale. So again, you could replace in which with where. And the stairs on which you are now standing are more than 300 years old. Again, on which can be replaced by where. When can replace at which, on which, or in which. For example, we can say, the time at which I wake up changes each month. Or the time when I wake up changes each month. The day on which I was born was rainy. The day when I was born was rainy. The month in which I take a vacation is July. The month when I take a vacation is July. Now you're going to choose at, in, or on, and then replace the preposition and relative pronoun with a relative adverb and say the sentence in another way. So we got married the year in which she was born, or you could just say when she was born. I'll always remember the day on which I met my future husband. So again, you could replace that with when. The time at which you arrived home last night was very late. Again, you can replace at which with when. People say that midnight is the hour at which vampires come out. And you can replace that with when. And fall is the season in which it starts getting colder. So fall is the season when it starts getting colder. Why can replace for which. For example, we can say, the reason for which she missed work is unacceptable, but this is very formal and rarely used. It's much more common to say the reason why she missed work is unacceptable. Now complete with who, when, where, or why. Joe wasn't at home on the day when you visited him. Do you know why he is not at work today? I think this is the street where my boss lives. The reason why I didn't call is because I lost your phone number. And do you know a store where I can buy a computer? So now complete these sentences with who, when, or why. And then, if you'd like to generate some conversation, go ahead and answer the questions in the comments. So it says, can you remember a day on which you made, oh, sorry, we're supposed to use when. So a day when you made an important decision. A teacher who had a big influence on your life. Can you remember a place where you had a lot of fun? A reason why you chose your current job? And the time when you met your best friend. Now you can complete these sentences to make them true for you. And again, if you'd like to share those in the comments to generate some conversation, that would be great. So for example, I might say July 4th is the day in my country when we celebrate independence. But you can fill in these with anything you'd like and then go ahead and share those in the comments. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, participate with the comments. It really helps with the channel, trying to grow the channel as much as I can. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.